Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Joshua Smith. I'm the Senior Director of Carrier Relations over here at Connecture DRX. Today, I'm here with Morgan Carver. He's our PlanCompare Edge for Agents guru and host and demo extraordinaire. For today's demo, we're going to be excited to show our latest Connecture DRX tools. Now, I know that every agent works a little bit differently, especially in the Medicare market, but we're firm believers here that the right technology should reflect those individual needs. That's why we're giving agents more choice than ever before, with multiple platform options designed to support how agents grow, enroll, and retain their Medicare book of business. Today, agents can choose between two distinct paths to quote, shop, and enroll via Connecture in our tools. First, if you already have a CRM that you trust, and if you want to significantly increase your enrollment productivity, PlanCompare Edge for Agents, or known as PCEA, paired with RetireFlo is perfectly built for you. We're using some of the most tried and tested CRM partners like AgencyBloc and Medicare PRO CRM, and we've built native sync points with their tools that are unobtrusive and maintains your flow between our solutions. Alternatively, if you're looking for a brand new, all in one, AI driven experience with CRM already built in, Medicare Copilot, offered through our partnership with Healthcare GPS, offers an approach that can support your business growth and maintenance with a single solution. More details on their solution and our other CRM partners can all be found on our website, connecture.com. And I promise that's all the general background information I've got for you today. But from here, let's get into the platform demonstration for PCEA. And in just a moment, Morgan's going to walk you through how PlanCompare Edge for Agents helps you simplify quoting, streamline your enrollments, and strengthen retention all in one place without disrupting the current tools that you already use. During the demo, you'll see how agents are working with over 90 different carriers across all the states in the US, using personalized URLs to drive self-service enrollment from your members, how we capture better data upfront with RetireFlo surveys, and ultimately submitting more enrollments with greater efficiency than ever before. Whether you're an independent agent or part of a growing agency, this platform is designed to help you move faster, stay organized, and grow with confidence. So let's jump in with a closer look. Take it away, Morgan.
Thank you, Josh. Let's get started by showing you briefly how easy it is to sign up. As you can see, on our website, under Solutions, you'll navigate to the PlanCompare Edge for Agents page. There you will be able to review the available options, so including that RetireFlo survey alongside our PlanCompare Edge for Agents. You also can review, as I said, our various CRM partner integrations and our various options. Now, a lot of agents will also start with the carrier inventory. I think it's important just to kind of distinguish how our carrier inventory works on the PlanCompare Edge for Agents site. So I like to think of our PCEA solution as being upline agnostic. So what that essentially means is regardless of your upline or FMO relationship or appointmentship, this allows you to essentially have all your carriers in one place. So this is going to save you some time when navigating AEP and enrollments on the platform. So taking a look at our carrier inventory, you can see where carriers are quoted fully to quote and enroll on the platform. That means that they're fully contracted carriers and they appoint to the site. We use your collected agent NPN at sign up to make those appointmentships there on the back and load those selling permissions for you. If you do see a carrier under the shop and view only, that means we do get plan information, just not available to fully quote and enroll on the platform. But all that information here is on our website. You can also contact us directly at the marketing team as well. So without further ado, let's jump right into the platform and check out kind of a high-level platform overview. So when logging into PlanCompare Edge for Agents, and I do want to kind of set the stage, we're looking through that agent perspective. So you just signed up, you subscribed, and we're going to cover some basic agent essential tools and also walk through what it looks like to create a profile on the platform and walk that member through an actual enrollment. So first things first, starting on the dashboard, I like to think of this as kind of your main dashboard, just like a car. So if you look for that little kind of gear icon, you'll see that at the top, but this is the first stop when you log into the PCEA site. If you need any assistance, we also have a great PCEA support staff for triaging any selling permission issues or tickets that you may experience. So just reminders and important updates will show on your dashboard there. Some other tools as we kind of scroll and navigate here. These are some quick links here to show you various tasks and call to actions to keep you organized on the platform. So whether you have an outstanding enrollment that you sent out or a quote, maybe a scope of appointment to follow up with, or a mymedicare.gov connection, all those tasks that are prompted throughout your workflows will show up here on the dashboard in a centralized location. Next, I like to cover the reporting tools. So on the left-hand side here, and what we can do is essentially pull in-platform reporting on various types of reports. So I'm going to select a date range here to start. So let's look at AEP last year. And I'm going to work on generating an enrollment report. So you can set your snapshot to a 31-day interval. Go to the type in the dropdown. You can pull reports on enrollments, HRAs, or scopes. I'm going to focus on some enrollments and then define the enrollment type. What's going to generate on those results is a CSV that I can download directly in the platform. I can also navigate directly to a member's profile or see a quick list of statuses there related to that specific member. So managing your book of business in PCEA is very easy and very intuitive, as you'll see along this demonstration today. So next, I'm going to show us our agent training materials. Now within utilizing a resource such as PlanCompare Edge for agents, you also have with you what's known as our Connecture 360 learning. So think of this as the support to help you get started with navigating the platform and using the tool. So within platform functionalities, we have some various quick links. You'll get an assigned group to the agent solution. And then how it's kind of organized here, I like to think of the paths as kind of the book on the shelf, if you will. Follow along with some of my analogies here. So there's several chapters that will basically encompass an overview, say, of what agent trainings or agent essentials like we're learning today to walk you through navigating and using your new PCEA subscription. We also have information on the RetireFlo survey integration. So to check that out and make sure that's set up and connected to your PCEA account. Next, I would say think of courses as kind of the chapters, if you will, following the book analogy. So if you need something specific, maybe it's the verification process, how to work with inactive profiles, or using the personalization of benefits banners and those features. So you can be very specific and search for specific topics within our learning management system. Just to kind of close out the learning side, because I'm sure we're excited to focus on actual demo of the solution and work with a beneficiary. The learning need module here. So if you do have any suggestions or feedback, we have a pretty generous character limit. We'd love to hear feedback on creating more training courses. Think of our agent solution as built and designed by you, the agent. So we do take user feedback seriously. If you have any suggestions on the platform, take advantage of this section here in the upper right. And if you want to check out the results of those playlist trainings, you can always navigate and curate those here back in the agent training 360 there. All right, so navigating back to the PCA site, we've covered just a few of the tasks, reports, and agent training material tools. I'm going to briefly show us some of the account overview tools just to kind of close out some of the different agent essentials that you might use before you even navigate to a member profile. So under the dropdown of my name when I log in, I can also navigate to the same tools we covered earlier or go to this account overview page. Think of this as where you can manage your PCA subscription, but other really important tools that agents utilize a lot, such as your personalized shopping link, are going to be located here. Now think of the shopping link as your personalized URL. It's a consumer-facing, compliant, external link that you can distribute to your book of business. And what it introduces to them is a consumer-facing shopping link where a member can enter information, create an account, and you as the agent of record are in context for that shopping, quoting, and enrollment captured. So you can capture that link here and essentially distribute that out. As I said, this is CMS compliant, so some agents might turn this into a QR code, makes it great for a postcard campaign during AEP, so if you're looking to send some things out. And then basically, this is from that consumer's perspective. They enter in a zip code, and they'll be brought to that shopping link with you as the agent of record in context. So quick little run through what that looks like from the member's perspective, and it's going to look fairly similar to the UI, which is intentional as we kind of continue in today's training. So that was a brief example there of using the Pearl. I do encourage you to check out our Connecture YouTube channel. We have all the training videos from our LMS 360 Learning also available there if you wanted to learn a little bit more on a specific chapter training. Just to kind of close out account overview, the second piece, as I mentioned earlier, we have a partner integration with RetireFlo. They created a consumer-facing compliant consumer survey that essentially prompts a member to provide an updated list of doctor, drug prescriptions, and important information you might usually collect every AEP when processing your book of business and those applications. So this is one of the very many features and points of integration, part of the book of business integration. Like I said, check out our videos to learn more. And we have some website instructions too on how to set up that integration. You can also upload your profile picture. Personalization of benefits, this is tied to managing from a book of business level as an agent. If you have a lot of common supplemental benefits, maybe it's grocery benefit or over-the-counter hearing aids, you can add specific benefits here essentially, depending what you need to add, and update those from a book of business level. So there's a curated list there from the personalization, but anything else tied to your agent NPN, subscription management, or viewing your selling permissions will be down in this section of account overview. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and start working with a member profile. Now, a couple things I want to point out before we pull up a member record. We do have various CRM partners for integration. So I do encourage you to check out, depending on your specific CRM, the exact path or integration of what that looks like to set that up. And I'll kind of speak to, in today's example, how to manage a member profile directly in the Connecture platform. So without a CRM integration, just for point of clarity there. So under the new profile dropdown, you can see where I can create a new beneficiary, start putting in that key information. So here we'll start zip. We'll start entering that member's name. And then I'm going to enter in some other key details. Now you'll notice anything with a red asterisk is going to be a required field of information. Generally speaking, I'd say information on the left-hand side is going to be demographic based, where information on the right of a member's profile will typically be more call to action, if you will, or points of engagement with the member. So I'm just going to do a few key updates here. So once everything's captured, you can save those key pieces. I'm going to grab my email here, just make sure I have all the required fields of information. And essentially, on the member's profile, we have all that demographic information here. We also have some key features on the right to integrate and send that RetireFlo survey directly from the member's profile. We also have a more unique Pearl Plus link, which kind of takes that Pearl agent feature we saw earlier, but it showcases specifically through Pearl Plus the member-specific information and context. So if you think of it this way, as the agent supporting this member, if you want to send them an engagement link specific to key call to actions, whether it's an enrollment, capturing a scope of appointment, or reviewing a quote, you can send a Pearl Plus link directly to that member from their profile. So if I were to use this in a demonstration right here, I as the agent would copy that link, send it out, and if we switch hats for a minute, we're looking from the member's perspective. They essentially are prompted to verify, and then they're taken to their consumer account overview page to view some of those various topics and call to actions, as I mentioned earlier. So quote, enrollment, activity, or scope of appointment. Just so we have some time here to focus on some of the key features, I encourage you to check out our YouTube channel. There's a lot more information. You could spend hours watching those trainings and go into real details there. So I'm going to focus on some other key features of the platform today. So you do have the ability to run eligibility checks directly in the profile. We're also going to capture any kind of quote or enrollment history. That's also going to be available. And the last piece down here is kind of the recommended workflow. So you'll kind of see, depending on your workflow that's most efficient for you and your personality, there's a lot of different ways to engage with the member. So you can go directly through what's recommended, or if you're already in some different features here, just know that there's drop downs and other shortcuts, if you will. So there's really not a wrong click there to take here. So I'm going to focus next on the scope of appointment. Now there's essentially 6 different ways to capture a member's scope of appointment. I'll say that email is probably the most popular. So the email and text option here are going to be on the left-hand side. And what we're seeing here is a task creation follow-up for that scope. So I'm simply saying, okay, let's add a task to follow up on this scope that's being captured. So I'll briefly show what it looks like from the member's perspective when they engage with that scope. So when the member's opening up, because again, we're now in that member's perspective, they'll be presented with who you are as the agent and also that PCEA branding coming through. So they'll know this is coming from you and a trusted source. So essentially what loads is the scope of appointment in the email example here to the member, you as the agent in context, and then any of those required fields will be listed here with the red asterisks for the member to fill out. So depending on the time that you're setting that scope and all that applicable information, you'd fill that out here as applicable. So again, this is showing to the member, bring your red, white, and blue card to the next appointment. So there's that call to action. I'm going to switch back to the agent's perspective here. We'll refresh the page and complete the agent steps for collecting a scope. So in this complete form, and then essentially method of contact, whatever applies here, you would just fill out. So for today's training, kind of a quick collection here, but we'll finish that out. And then what's going to retain here is a PDF copy of the scope, confirmation number, and a quick summary of the products discussed. So that's also going to retain in the member profile. I'm going to jump to the plans list page. We do have a concentrated page of preferences if you wanted to spend a little bit more time, but that same banner here displays here. So I'm going to kind of focus here as I bring us to the plan shopping and generating a quick quote. So member preferences, think of this banner as we know it as being member preferences, as anything specific to the member. So starting with key information that's going to really inform the plan shopping and the plan benefits as they apply to that member. So starting with who that person might be seeing as a provider, you can search within our system. What's going to return here is a list view of various locations, but also an interactive map. So you can really tailor down and match specific providers, specific locations for that member and apply that in context there for the plan shopping. Whether it's a PCP, new or existing patient, and I have some demo plans here today, but essentially I'll show you here momentarily how on the plan cards themselves, these key benefits show real returns on whether that's within formulary and how that lines up in the overall plan costs with plans in context. So I can search for specific pharmacy names here in the second piece of preferences, or search based on that zip code in context with the member's address. So I'm going to focus on the zip code area. It's going to work very similarly to the map and list view that we saw from providers. And then I'm going to throw in a digital pharmacy. We support retail, digital mail order. You can just, again, set those preferences there for pharmacies. Next will be prescriptions. I kind of call this the first 3 Ps of preferences. So starting with a couple scripts here, you'll search for that dose, quantity, form, and frequency. Add that specific prescription. If, say, there's a brand name drug where there might be a generic cost-saving alternative, we also have key logic built into the system, as well as a generous library of therapeutic alternatives and call to action triggers that work depending on what medications might apply. So for this example here, in a generic example, I'm going to swap this for the atorvastatin calcium. That presents a cost saving, but ultimately, if I send a quick quote to the member, they're empowered to go to their provider and see if that's a good replacement there and a cost saving benefit to that member. And just kind of closing out the preferences, the last few pieces you'll see is filling out the subsidy information. You can also track health status. So there's a lot of other key details within preferences that go into how to evaluate that plan in context further along in the shopping. The last couple pieces, you can also track current plan, personalization of benefits. I think we want to jump into focusing on getting a quick quote here generated, but just know there's a lot of resources and ways to kind of track. And I do recommend checking out our member preferences for more information on some of these key details. So I have some demo plans here, but I also now can see that the preferences that shows that progression. So I have most of the preferences here that matter to the member today. So now I can focus on, do I need to filter these plans depending on how I need to read these and distribute the information, whether that's deductible, star rating, carrier. We have lots of different filters depending on the plan sets there and what's loaded, which also another key thing to note. Um, Essentially, what you're going to view on plans available here is the zip code in context. So we have that member and their address. That's going to inform this display. So I can change the zip code here if I want. This is also going to default to the current year view. But again, I have the ability with the little pencil there to make a change and look across different years. These checks essentially mean if I want to view uh, non-licensed plans, which essentially means on the site, just not licensed to my number and affiliated with the site. So I can do plan shopping in that greater pool, kind of beyond that scope here that's defined. And if I want to check and see flags with that are non-commissionable essentially, and I want to see the display flag, that's what those checks mean. And then essentially with the plans that you're licensed to sell that are loaded to the site here, it's all going to be organized as well by the product tab. So for instance, the first one we're in is MAPD, but this goes into PDP uh, as well as DVH, just depending on what you're selling here in the area. So lots of filters, lots of different ways to sort the plans, starting with plan premium. Um, and I'm going to take us directly into generating a quick quote. So essentially on these plan cards, you can also view a quick summary of that provider call here, and these are demo plans. So we are making real calls to the provider, which is why it wouldn't show as a network for a demo, but you kind of get the idea of these placeholders. That specific preference information plugs into the plan cards, and if I add these to a quote, those are also going to be taken into context when sending that to the member. So what's displaying here are the most common methods of sending a quote. So we see that through email and text, as well as a pre-written message. If you'd like to use that or something more personal, you can change that out. And essentially it's showing a summary of the plans included for the quick quote, as well as pharmacy designation. So we'll go ahead and send that out. And now we have a task prompting us to follow up on that quick quote. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. But let's navigate for a moment here to the member's perspective and just see what exactly the quick quote looks like when you're sending that out from the PCEA platform. So again, here's that introduction, that button call to action there. And again, in the member's perspective here, um, we want to keep things secure and compliant when it comes to access. So that's why we're seeing the verification prompt to access the quick quote. So I'm going to utilize our single factor authentication here, and it's going to send a 6-digit code to my email. So again, we're looking through the member's perspective, receiving and opening the quick quote. And right now I'm retrieving that verification number so I can verify the link and access my quick quote. So once the verification process essentially is bypassed there, we'll go to the consumer account overview page in the current kind of quick quote flow. And what you're seeing here are if there's any new outstanding kind of quote actions here, you'll see that reminder that then takes you to the latest applicable call to action. And for this instance, we're focusing on the quote, but this is other consumer account activity that you can also look at and would be shown to a member. So again, in that member's perspective, when they open up the quick quote, they're brought intentionally, you'll see this through the UI, it's also consistent on purpose by design. So it's pretty much a seamless flow. If you were explaining a quote to them, maybe live in person, or they were screen sharing, what have you, you're also gonna be able to show the member that call out of the quoted plan. The member's able to compare that, view those plan details in a standalone context, but essentially that member is not prevented from just carrying what you quoted for them into enrollment. They have all that at their disposal, and you as the agent of record are in context in that link as well. So we can see your smiling face over there also. I'm going to take us back to the plan list page, show you what kind of comparing some plans looks like, walk through the enrollment, and then I think we have some kind of closing Q&A to discuss here with Josh here in a moment. So that was essentially the quick quote feature. I can also compare plans. So again, we're back in that agent's perspective here. I'm going to focus on kind of one plan. Let's say we're leaning towards the demo flex care plan. This is a good fit. So back in that agent kind of broker perspective, this is where I could review with the member even more plan details, really kind of peel back the layers here to that specific plan and context. So whether it's cost, benefit utilization, uh, dental, vision, all those various benefits to pharmacy, cost, supply. The view details page is quite expansive in that first tab. We can also get more specific to that plan and context against those member preferences. And it looks like we have a couple non-covered prescriptions in this demo plan, which is great for kind of just an example. But think of this as basically the various tiers where those prescriptions would fall is where they will land as applicable. So we do see a prompt here to find alternatives if they're not covered. So as I said earlier, there's a lot of built-in logic to help remedy kind of that workflow if we don't have something covered like that prescription. Just to kind of close out the last few tabs, the health cost utilization, we also gathered that in member preferences. So you can track the utilization cost by visit use and specific health benefits. So if your member sees a specialty doctor, you can also get an estimate on that medical cost with that plan and context. The last tab is going to cover total estimated cost. I like to kind of call this the calendar year view because this displays at a quick glance the effective date alongside in context these drop downs of each month and the calculation cost of premium, drug, and essentially the formula that informs the monthly estimated cost. So you can review that with the member in kind of that calendar more friendly view. So from here, we can add directly to cart, send a standalone quote. We can also rotate pharmacy pricing within the UI. I'm going to focus on the enrollment. So essentially, I like to think of kind of the enrollment flow as depending on what products you're adding. In this instance, we're in an MAPD in the cart. An applicable call to action might be adding a hospital indemnity plan. Post-enrollment, there might be an HRA action. So it's really, I'd say, dependent on what product you're enrolling in. There's going to be a quite standard flow to each with enrollment, but also carrier messaging, carrier questions might vary from carrier to carrier. So just keep that in mind. And then as far as how to complete this in the kind of agent assisted route, we'll be selecting this, but you can send a copy of the application pre-filled in a compliant way to the member for them to review and sign off what you guys already discussed. So we'll continue to apply in the, as I started with the agent assisted route and walk through what that enrollment flow looks like. The first set you'll see in that enrollment workflow is the pre-enrollment set of statements. It's essentially bringing into context there the plan details to review with the member and agent notes to make sure all those compliant pieces are presented transparently with the member. So you'll also see the call to action for you as the agent to fill out these checks that are essentially just signing off that you've reviewed the required disclosures with the member and that everything is staying compliant. Once you continue, again, you're going to kind of see a standard flow, maybe 6 to 9 steps, depending. This is about 7 here. And then you can fill in essentially what's required and remaining on the enrollment form itself. So key details from that member and context are going to pull, and depending on that particular carrier's enrollment flow. So I already have a lot of information pre-collected. I'm going to grab my MBI number here. But essentially, starting with contact information, typically might run into some of these other standard. Again, it's a pretty standard flow when it comes to the steps. You just might see variations in how the questions are asked from product to product or carrier to carrier. The same kind of flow or UI is the same where there's a red asterisk It's a required field, so really making sure that I'm filling this out as fully as possible. Then we get into agent attestation. And then we'll get into statement of understanding. There's also going to be a prompt at the end of signature to review these. When it comes to signature, just fill out what's most applicable to you. In this example, we have the stylus, but we do support the type fill in. Audio prompt would just showcase a script and you use your own recording device, whatever you already had set up for that capture. And this is that review page where it's already kind of condensed for you, but you can expand these and review what was already entered before submitting. What's going to populate next is we're going to see that post-enrollment confirmation page. Now, post-enrollment confirmation page will again be very carrier specific. So you might see a variety of different messaging and call to actions depending on, again, what the product is that you're enrolling the member in for that flow. So the application details over here, this is being sent over to the carrier. You also have a copy as the agent to reference back a copy of that member's application in the PDF. So you can open that here. This is going to give that summary as well as a copy of the enrollment form and some member preferences as well. If those were updated at the time of the enrollment, those pages at the end are included as well. So if receipts are important to you, I know they are for folks, you'll have that PDF, it's available here. And then to reference back, if we go back to the member's profile, we started today's demo, starting essentially maybe the second step on the member's profile. But if we remember, we had some call to actions still to do. So just kind of in summary, we completed a scope of appointment. We updated their information. We completed some tasks here related to the quote. We captured their MBI. And then the quote history, enrollment history, that's all retained here along with a copy of that PDF, date, timestamp, and pertinent details at kind of a high level view are also accessible there. All right, I believe that concludes our high-level overview demo of the platform. So I think now's a great time, Josh, for us to cover some of those commonly asked questions.
All right, thanks, Morgan. Now we'll take a few of the common questions that are typically asked about this solution. The first question is, I've been using my FMO's platform. Can I move my book of business from that Connecture instance over to PCEA? The answer is absolutely. When you sign up for PlanCompare Edge for agents, we can perform a one-time overnight copy of your book of business from any of our hosted Connecture broker sites within the last 5 years. There's no manual work for you. Just log in the next day and you're ready to go. The next question is, how do I add my selling permissions? And the answer, fortunately for you, is you don't have to do anything. The, we work directly with the carriers that are sending us daily permission files that we load into your account. As a quick call out, you can only enroll in carriers that are contracted with PCEA. So there are some carriers, over 90 of them, that are shop and enroll, meaning that you can quote and do the enrollment all in one solution. And we do have others that are shop only. So you'll be able to see the plans and quote the plans, but you just won't be able to enroll on our solution. Just make sure if you're interested in our solutions, as Morgan discussed and we demoed, we've got the full carrier availability list right on our website. Definitely be sure to check that carrier inventory before you sign up. Or if you have any questions, just let us know. The next question is, what kind of support do I get after I sign up? Fortunately, you're not on your own. We've got a customer success coordinators that are ready to help with anything, whether that's setup, functionality, or just day-to-day questions. All you have to do is reach out to us, and we'll take it from there. And then the last question that we got is, I already used AgencyBloc or Medicare PRO CRM. How does that work with PCEA? And that's a great question as well. So PCEA, again, PlanCompare Edge for agents, natively integrates with both AgencyBloc and Medicare Pro CRM. How it basically works is you start in your CRM. Then once you have your client data in your CRM, you can launch and move that data directly into our program where you're ready to shop, quote, and enroll. And then once you submit an enrollment, everything goes back to your original CRM hosted site as well. So then you have everything that you need, all the doctors, all the drugs, all the prescriptions, and the enrollment information all synced right back into your CRM. It's as simple, as easy, and it fits into the workflow that you're already currently using. And that about wraps it up for us here today on the Connecture side. So again, thanks so much for everyone that stuck with us today. We really appreciate it. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to send us the email over at marketing@connecture.com, and be sure to visit our Plan Compare Edge for agents, or the Plan Compare Edge, if you're an agency, pages to learn more. Thanks again. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Take care.